But we're going to take a detour from the football and go to the NBA. And there was an interesting article on ESPN.com written by Ramona Shelburne, who does a great job there covering the NBA and writing feature stories. Here's the title: Pat Riley, as LeBron chases history, in quotes, Kareem's the greatest player of all time. Rob G, you read the article, kind of summarize Riley's take.
Sure. Well, the whole thing was written with the LeBron James quest to surpass Kareem on the all-time scoring list as the backdrop. That was the whole premise of the column. And for the most part, it was an ode to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And, of course, Pat Riley coached him during the Showtime Lakers era. So a lot of fluffery going on for Kareem. Well, things got weird, though, about halfway through. Pat Riley, again, was asked about LeBron James passing Kareem and his overall thoughts on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as a player. Here's what he said. I always said that Kareem was the greatest player of all time because of his longevity. Kareem was unique from the standpoint that he could play at a high level, play 80 games a year, get beat up because of double and triple teams, and guys just taking shots at him. He just developed this mental toughness along with a great physical body to really last forever. I put Michael Jordan in there too, but Kareem was the greatest at that time because of his longevity and the fact that he continued to perform at a high level when he was in his late 30s and 40s.
Well, that would make you wonder. I mean,
don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
What?
I was going to say, Chris, that's why Pat Riley. Hello, is this on? Because your argument for Kareem is the most illogical and ridiculous thing I've ever heard. For such a guy who's such a great coach, and I have nothing but respect. I tell you all the time. I quote Pat Riley all the time. Either you're in or you're out, right, Chris?
Right,
I talk about him all the time. The job he did with the New York Knicks was unbelievable. It really was, that he got that team without any stars other than Patrick Ewing to the NBA Finals. He's a tremendous coach, but he's illogical when he makes this statement. I get it. You adore Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's a friend of yours, but it doesn't make any sense. A, why the hell did you retire Michael Jordan's number with the Miami Heat if you didn't believe he was the greatest player ever played? That doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
And number two, if you're using the longevity argument, LeBron James would be the greatest player of all time because of his numbers and how long he's been able to play at a high level. So absolutely. Kareem would fall out of both categories, Chris. It makes no sense by Pat Riley.
And look, Riley, and like you said, we both have nothing but respect for him.
I respect Pat Riley.
Coach. Right. But, Rob, like you said, he's given indications. I would bet at some point he said Michael Jordan was the greatest ever. Like you said, they retired his jersey in Miami, which I still think is kind of ridiculous.
Chris, that was the most ludicrous thing I've ever seen.
I don't agree with that.
He didn't play there. It wasn't like – it would be different if he had like the Jackie Robinson and the whole league retired 23 because Michael did something that nobody possibly could ever do. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But
and
for
Jackie's
Miami
was,
to do it.
You know, social significance and all that too.
Right.
Yeah. And then, Rob, I know when LeBron was in Miami that Riley used to call LeBron the GOAT, best of all time. So now he's saying it's Kareem. But I'm with you. It doesn't make sense. What it sounds like, Rob, is trying to just play both sides of the fence, or maybe all three sides of the fence, right? He mentioned Jordan. He said Kareem's the best because of longevity. Well, now here we are, and LeBron's about to pass Kareem for a longevity record. Rob, it reminds me, I don't know if you heard this, and I got nothing but love for Dan Orlovsky, but did you hear the other day when he said on Get Up, he said Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the league.
Stop.
But Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the league. It's like, what?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
You just don't want to come out and make a statement. You know what I mean?
You're playing both sides of the fence. Yep. Chris, he's the same guy who had Stafford in the Hall of Fame after they won the Super Bowl. Like just is prisoner of the moment. Joe Burrow is not better than Patrick Mahomes at this point. He's not.
No.
He's not. No. I'm sorry, Chris. I don't. And we both like Joe Burrow. Me and you were both glad that he went to Cincinnati. We both said, go ahead and make your own name and turn the franchise around like Michael Jordan did with the Bulls. It's there for the taking, right? They had lost 7 straight playoff games, and the Bengals hadn't been to the Super Bowl in a long time. And he's done all that. And there's nothing but to give him credit. But he hadn't won a Super Bowl. He hadn't won an MVP. I'm sorry. He's not better than Patrick Mahomes. Not today.
Right. Absolutely. So with this, Rob, here's what I'll say about the longevity argument. That is not how we judge the greatest players of all time. And I don't think that's how we should judge the greatest players of all time. So when LeBron passes Kareem, it won't mean he's better than Michael Jordan because he's got the scoring record. I mean, if that were the case, Karl Malone would be better than Michael Jordan.
And Chris, no one ever mentioned Karl Malone.
Third now.
When was the last time Karl Malone was mentioned as the greatest player?
Rob, Larry Bird is like ranked, I don't know, 20-something. He's really low in terms of all-time points, but he's a top 10 player of all time. It's not just about that in the NBA. But what I'll say is this, Rob, and this is, I believe the greatest players of all time in their respective sports or even at their positions, it is more about your peak and how high and your peak was, assuming you have a legitimate length career. Like, you can't play for 4 years and have a 4-year peak that was ridiculous and we're going to call you the GOAT, right? You have to have had a legitimate career, 10, 12 years or something like that. And if your peak was, higher than everyone else's, I think that's how we tend to judge the GOATs, Rob. Emmitt Smith is the all-time leading rusher. I don't really know anyone, and he's certainly an all-time great, but Rob, have you heard anyone that says he's the greatest running back of all time?
There's a little case for that,
but not for the most part.
It's not automatic.
Think there's 3, 4, 5, maybe even guys who usually are mentioned.
Eric Dickerson, Barry Sanders. There's a couple other guys. Jim Brown, despite him not playing a long career, what he did in that short period of time was mind-boggling.
He played 8, 9, 10 years, something like that. So, so that's one example. Hank Aaron, Rob, the home run king. Nobody considers him the GOAT.
No, and Hank Aaron, Chris, we go over stats all the time. The guy had 2,400 RBIs, Chris, in 24 seasons. He averaged 100 RBIs. He has the second most home runs, 755. He batted .305. He stole bases. What did Hank Aaron not do? And his name is never really in that conversation.
And he's certainly, an all-time great. There's no question about that. I'm just saying, it's his home run record and it's awesome. But people understand it is a testament to his longevity. Because, Rob, he never hit 50, did he?
No.
He never hit 50 in the season.
Nope. Which is incredible when you think about that.
Again, longevity. I think his highest,
the crazy part
I'm looking at it, it was 47. It was his career high.
And the crazy thing,
and that came at 37 years old, Rob. Think about that.
It is the same thing with Barry Bonds. He only hit over 50 one time, Chris. Did you know that?
Yeah.
And that was
where he was hitting like one a game.
And that was his 73. That was the only one. That's the only season he hit over 50. It's crazy.
Right. So I think that we have to understand that it's not about longevity. Maybe it is with you, but it's not with most people. It hasn't been how we judge things historically. And LeBron, look, bro, we both have LeBron second to Jordan. But I don't think it's arguable. Like, Jordan's peak, I mean, his whole prime was obviously through the roof. But the peak was winning 6 championships in 7 seasons that he played. And the one, you really could go 6 for 6. Because the 7th season, he only played 18 games, came straight from
That's
baseball.
when he came back straight from baseball
he
and
wasn't
got knocked
himself.
out. Right.
Right. And so that peak, obviously LeBron can't touch. And the thing about the longevity, Rob, with LeBron, and we've talked about this before, but it can, and if you're talking about a GOAT argument, all right, if you're talking about a GOAT argument, LeBron's going to have, his individual numbers, total assists, total rebounds, total points, all that is going to be through the roof, particularly rebounds or points and assists. But if he's in his 20th year, Rob, if they don't win the championship this year, and it doesn't look like they will, he will have 4 championships in 20 years. Jordan has 6 in 15 years.
Right.
So they're at some point, if you play 22 great individual years, but only won 4 championships, that's not winning a whole ton.
No, and that, Chris, the longer he plays, it actually hurts him because he's not winning championships.
I think
and when I say
guys
hurt,
that
I'm
will,
not saying this
right.
thing is like, I'm just saying when you try to make that case.
Right.
If he played 24 years in the league trying to, say play 20, and he won 4 championships and the last X amount of years, and then you go from the time he won the 3rd one to the bubble, Chris, and the rest of his career, you start to look and go, he won 1 championship his last 11 years or whatever it is.
No, you're right. Or 1 every 6 years. Jordan won 6 and 15, and obviously 2 of those years he didn't even play, but 17 or 18 games because of injury in baseball. Then you're saying, okay, one guy won it every 2.5 years, another one every 5 years. That's what it is right now if LeBron doesn't win it this year. So that's like, Rob, I don't believe the longevity argument is how we determine GOATs. But those that are in the LeBron camp, this is your best argument. Wouldn't you say, like, if you're going to try to argue LeBron over Jordan, this is what you got, the longevity and the counting stats in terms of total points,
right? Total
assists, things like that.
But I think that, I think it's got to be, it's not just amassing numbers because you just made it up. The best example is Karl Malone. He was the 2nd greatest scorer and had a tremendous career, Hall of Famer, all that stuff. But nobody mentioned him because it's not points in a vacuum. And
not even in the top 10, right? He's not even considered in the top 10.
And he was 2nd, right?
Forget the GOAT.
He played a long time. He scored a lot of points and was a hell of a player. Nobody's knocking him. But that argument, Pat Riley, I'm sorry. He came in with a soft, lame argument for Kareem. And I'm sorry. Pat, I know you're down in Florida and too much sun down there, but that argument did not work.
Rob, Larry Bird, who I feel is a top 10 player. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, Larry Bird, absolutely.
Guess where he ranks all-time points?
I say he's 40th.
Close, very close. What is it? 36th.
Chris, that was off the top of my. I know it ain't high.
Right, 36th. He's behind Gary Payton. So there
he
you
only
go.
Played 13
behind Adrian
years.
Dantley. Yeah. But he had a heck of a career in those 13 years, and his peak was off the charts. Magic obviously only played 12 years as well. So we're going to throw it out to you guys.